Hi, Chef Raphael here. Now, today's video, it's a two-in-one. I'm going to show you how to make mushrooms. On this video, I'll talk about what to consider when buying mushrooms, what to look out for, what to tell what is good quality and what's not good quality. So watch to learn all that. But also I'll show you how to cook them. Now, this is, like I said, two-in-one because the first part of the cooking of the mushroom which is plain. It's something that you can have for breakfast or like a side accompaniment or something dry. But I've also made it into a stew like this, with some cream, nice creamy sauce, some peas, and I've also served it with some Vichy carrots and some rice. So I'll show you how to make it into a stew or a saucy dish like this. It's really delicious. In fact, let me grab my spoon. Goes really well with everything that I've put here, even color-wise. I also put in some rosemary, coming out really nicely. Watch till the end and you see how simple it is to make mushrooms, and I hope you learned something new. Let's get cooking. So welcome to the show. Now, mushrooms. Now, I actually decided to do this video because lots of people always ask me about how do you cook mushrooms, and I think cooking mushroom is really simple, but you can also get it wrong. So the first thing when it comes to mushroom, when you're thinking about mushroom, think of it like it's meat. So first of all, it's a sort of source of protein. So the way you'd cook meat, especially if you know how to cook meat, especially the browning process of cooking meat, this is what you need to consider. But before the cooking, let's discuss about what to look out for before buying mushroom. Now, the first thing you want to do is they're usually packed in plastic containers like this, wrapped with a cling film. So the first thing you want to look out for is that they should all be the same size or roughly the same size. If you want really big ones, go for the bigger ones. If you want, but okay, it's also hard to get them exactly the same size. Like for mine, has a small one and one that is slightly way bigger than the others. So it should not be far off, because when it comes to cutting this piece of mushroom, when you cut it into four, what will happen is that this one, for it to be the same, almost the same size as this when it's cut into four, you need to cut this into two, or sometimes just leave it whole. So it's up to you. You also need to decide which way are you going to cook them. So you can even slice mushrooms. So all that is what you need to consider. Now, what's next? The other thing you need to look out for is that they should all be, the whiter they are, the more fresh they are. Now, like mine, they look a little bit brown. It's actually not so nice, but then again, when I was choosing, this was one that looked much better than the others. So the whiter they are, the more fresh that they are. Now, what else? The other thing is, whenever they are, the other thing you need to look out for is any mushroom that has black on the gills, on the inside, they are like gills. Even I can show you a big one here. It's still white. So the moment this part becomes black, that means that mushroom is really old. It's not that it's bad, but it's not as fresh as. But then again, it all depends on where you're going to use the mushroom, how are you going to cook it. The other thing you need to look out for is they should also look clean. Relatively clean. Like mine are a little bit dusty, they are a little bit have some soil in them, so that means I'll have to wash them. But technically you should not wash mushrooms. Mushrooms are like sponges. They actually soak up water whenever you put them in water to try and wash them. But sometimes when you have a lot of visible dirt, so the tip that you need to take away from this part is clean whatever you're going to cook. So if you're not going to cook the full packet, if you're going to do half, clean only that half. So I'll show you how to clean it. I'll clean them in running water, and all it takes whenever you're doing that is make sure that it's running water. Just wash them real quick to remove the loose dirt that is visible if you really must, and then drain them off. Do not let them soak in water because again they are like sponge. So right now I'm going to show you how to cut them, and then in this video I'm actually doing 2 ways of cooking. So I'll show you the first step, which you can use without as plain mushrooms, and then the next step will be like a stew that you can have with some rice and some other vegetables. Let's start cutting them. So now I've cut the mushrooms. I actually cut them in quarters. So like I said in the beginning, it depends on how you want the final dish to look like. So this being a 2-in-1 video, I'll first cook them as you would cook them for, let's say, breakfast. So what I have here is a pot. So now what I want to do is to make sure that the pan is, the pot is hot. So you want to start on high heat. That's really important. A little bit of oil, just enough to cook the mushroom. You'd probably actually need more. Now, when you know the pot is hot, when you start seeing a little bit of smoke from the oil, that means that oil is super hot. That's really important, especially when you're cooking mushroom. Remember I said mushroom, it's like a sponge. It already has its own water or liquid inside. So when you wash it, it also really soaks in more. And another thing I didn't mention, when it comes to the stock, you can choose to cook with it, or you can also chop it so that it's just flat, and then you use this as a piece by itself, but I'm going to cook it as it is. So the first thing, oil is hot, is add the mushrooms. So add the mushroom. That would be enough for the pot that you have. So they will tend to shrink as it continues to cook. So the whole idea is to brown the mushroom, and the faster you do it, the better. So it helps if you have a bigger pot, for depending on the amount of mushroom that you want to cook. I'm actually going to add a little bit more of oil. I also have here with me some cut onions and garlic. That one I'll add a little bit later, after the cooking has started. So to this, we will add some flavor. Now you can actually just cook them with salt and pepper as they are, without even the onion. But the browning, this is the browning that we want. So you want it to be this color all round. So keep adding oil as it dries up. And then at this point, when the browning has already started, I'll add the onion. Garlic, I'll add it a little bit later because I don't want it to burn. Now cut the onion into cubes because that's the look that I want for the food. I want the food to have some chunky pieces like the mushrooms are. At this point, I'll add a little bit of salt and pepper. So there is good. And then pepper, I always like the freshly ground pepper. So the thing is, whenever you're cooking mushrooms and the pot is not hot enough, or even the pan, they will actually start boiling, and that's what you don't want. You actually want to avoid that completely. I already noticed that buying some water is actually coming out from the mushrooms, meaning it's actually will start boiling. That's not a good thing. So what you can do in case that has happened before the mushrooms are actually browned is you drain off the excess water. But for me right now, I'll just leave it as it is. Don't cover, because when you cover, it will actually make the steaming continue. You don't want that. Now, mushrooms don't take long to cook. They take about anything from 3 to 4 minutes to cook, especially if you have cut them small. It also depends on the size of one piece that you have. One thing I like about them so far, they're a little bit brown, but with the water right now, it's gonna be hard for them to be extra brown. Looking at my fire. So increase the fire to the maximum, let the water evaporate, and if it's too much, just put a lid on it and then drain off the excess water in a small bowl and let it continue browning, which is exactly what I'll do right now. So drained off that a little bit amount of water. You can always use it a little bit later if you're making it into a stew. Now at this point, I'm going to add the sliced garlic that I have and stir. Again, all this is on high heat. Actually, at this point, this mushroom is ready. One final thing I can add, you can leave it as it is, it's still gonna be okay. One thing I'm going to add is some ground rosemary. So this is my own made homemade rosemary. I bought fresh one. I dried it. Let it somewhere sit in the kitchen to dry out, and then remove the leaves and then put it in a pepper mill, in a blender with the mill, and it's ground into small pieces. So I'll add a little bit. This will add extra flavor. Mushroom and rosemary go together. Thyme can also do well in this. Even oregano, if that's what you like, it can also work. So just a little bit is enough. So I'll grab a spoon and give it a taste. That's it. Really nice. Like, yum. Now, one thing about, especially when you brown them exactly the way I've done it, this is the same way I would cook meat. They're still juicy on the inside, and they have a nice flavor, especially when I've added the rosemary. That's made it complete. Now I want to enhance this. So up to this point, you can actually serve it as it is, especially for breakfast. But right now, let me make it into a stew that I can have it with some rice. So I've reduced the fire. So I'm going to add some peas. So this is cooked peas. It's already boiled. It's cooked. So I'll add sizable amount. You can also add other vegetables like zucchini or even carrots, preferably when they are already pre-cooked or boiled for that matter. Mix them like that. I'll add a little bit of water. You can also add white wine. White wine will make it nicer. So the water will actually help in, I'll also add the small amount of water that I removed when it was browning. So it will deglaze the pan. And finally, now what will actually bring all this together is some cooking cream. You can use cooking cream or whipping cream. Stir. Now the good thing, everything is ready in terms of being cooked. Peas are cooked, mushrooms are tasty. I like the rosemary flavor. Now the cream will bring it all together. I'll add a little bit of black pepper. Salt is enough. This is a meal by itself. All I need is some rice, which is what I'll serve it with. So a little bit of a taste. Perfect. Personally, I like the combination of the peas and the mushroom. I don't know what would suit you, so it's up to you in terms of whatever other vegetables you can add. Or you can even skip the other vegetables and just add cream to the mushroom. It will still be okay. This is ready for serving. Let me show you the final dish when everything is brought together. So this is my complete dish with the mushroom stew, or creamy mushroom stew with some carrots and some rice. It actually took me less than about 5 minutes to actually cook this. So it literally does not take long to cook mushroom. It's really delicious. I hope you've learned something new. Now, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Helps me know what kind of videos you are looking for, and if you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. And until next time, I'm signing out. I'm Chef Raphael.